The Roman Empire. The ancient civilization men think about several times a week. The masters of copying others' work and one of the most powerful and influential empires in history. But as all empires, Rome fell eventually. Well, at least the western half. The empire would be fine for almost another millennium. So how exactly did Rome collapse? Well, let's go back in time. It's 395 AD. An emperor, Theodosius the Great, had a small issue. This issue being called death. Now Theodosius was overall a good emperor, defeating the Goths, no, not those ones, and changing the empire's religion officially to Christianity. What he was not great at, though, was leaving good heirs, and because Rome's succession system, or more lack of, was very tricky, they appointed two sons to rule each half of the empire. Spoiler alert, they were never united again. On the east was Arcadius, 70 years old, but we can forget he exists for the rest of this video. Let's focus on Honorius. Now, you'd imagine they appoint a grown-up, with experience in some role and being trained from a young age. Well, Honorius was 10 at the time. So basically they put a toddler in charge of one of the half of an incredibly important political entity. That can't end badly, right? The Roman Empire was already facing troubles, most of all the Roman army. The Roman army was composed of around 400,000 men, and around 30% of the Roman budget was dedicated to the army. And even then, the empire was so big that it was not enough. So how do you fix this? You might say. Well, the Romans thought, how about we give gold or land to those guys we're fighting so that they fight for us? And that sounds like a great idea, except no. Because firstly, this made soldiers more loyal to our generals and their salaries instead of Rome itself, which most probably wouldn't ever see in person. This made the already terrible problem of rogue generals, pretenders, and all that jazz roaming around the empire even worse. So back to Honorius. Or well, more like Silico. This guy. The guy actually doing stuff in the empire. He was non-Roman, which was able to maintain the administration and military for the most part. Well, while Honorius went and played around with the treasury. Yep, that's him. Silico even defeated a Goth rebel leader and that had been ravaging through Italy. This was Alaric. Remember him for later. Silico kept basically saving the empire throughout the 395 to 405. And of course there were bombs like Alaric trying to invade again, a rogue soldier killing himself the Emperor of Britannia and leading a revolt, but it was all fine until he failed to stop invasions from the Rhine, which promptly got him executed by Honorius, pressured by his opponents, in 408. Now, Honorius couldn't have been even more stupid to do this, as Alaric, who had been defeated twice at this point, smelled Roman weakness and promptly began raiding Italy, eventually until he got to the city of Rome and promptly sacked it in 410. It had been over 800 years since the enemy of Rome had entered the city, which although was no longer the capital, still was the spiritual capital of the empire, which caused a massive blow to prestige and morale, making the invincible Rome idea many didn't look at anymore. Reportedly, when alerted of this in Ravenna, Emperor Honorius got scared, thinking they referred to his favorite chicken, Roma, and was calmed down when they told him that his chicken was fine. Rather, it was Rome that had been sacked. What a great emperor! By the way, for unknown reasons, there was also probably climate change, which caused famines and caused many tribes, people, like the Goths, to immigrate into the empire. Quite a few times they decided that Rome's land was actually their land now. But it wasn't just climate change. It was also a scourge ramping up in the east, a certain Hunnic empire, but more of them later. Again. Alaric would eventually die, so that would solve that problem. Meanwhile, Britannia was being raided by the Celtic tribes of Scotland, and as assisted from Honorius. He told them no, and they promptly left the empire, which means the first big loss of land for the Romans in a long time. Throughout the 410s, the Roman army would be busy taking out the barbarians, usurpers, and rebels, and eventually they finally dealt with all of them, after they decided to give the two largest tribes, the Suebi and the Visigoths, land in Gaul and Hispania, and they were kinda autonomous by themselves. And by the start of the 420s, all had been civilized for the moment, and Honorius took the best decision he had ever made, dying from natural causes. He was succeeded by Valentine III. Don't worry, he was actually an adult, but he was only a puppet to a general named Flavius Actius. And with Honorius dead, things would begin to look better. Wait, did I say better? I meant worse. Financial crisis and corruption ran through the empire, and Actius wasn't really able to deal with the Visigoths, who demanded more and more land. You know, I'm starting to see a trend with these guys.
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Them Rome's gonna stab around. Them Rome's gonna stab around. 3rd century crisis gonna shake the ground. Let's count the emperors down. Well, the first guy committed suicide when he found out his co-ruler's son died. And they were succeeded by these guys, and they were in charge 3 months. But then they got killed.